Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today we are going to be doing a buyer's guide for a PC build that comes in at under $500 even when Windows 10 is included into the pricing. I wanted to do this because it's been so polarizing to try to do PC builds and everything over the past 6 to 8 months, really, with the high graphics card and RAM prices and everything. It's just been really difficult to tell people, oh, you can do this build for X amount of dollars, when in reality the graphics cards are costing double what they should actually be. But thankfully, with the recent arrival of Raven Ridge, that is going to make it very possible to get an entry-level system off the ground and running that you could upgrade at a later time with a graphics card. So as I said, we're going to be doing a buyer's guide on this. I'm going to be going through all of the parts that I would put in a system right now today if I was trying to throw together a build for under $500. And of course, we're going to start off with the processor, an APU here from AMD, the very recently released Ryzen 2200G, which I covered in a full video along with the 2400G on my channel. This has got Vega 8 on it, so it's got 8 compute units, 4 cores, no hyper-threading, and it's only $100, and it's able to dish out some seriously good performance when you consider the value of it when you're getting a good quad core on top of that, and you can actually get out there and you can play some games. Are you going to be playing the latest game coming out like Far Cry 5 at max settings? No, you're not, but you can definitely get by playing a lot of your favorite esports titles like CSGO, Dota 2, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege. You should be able to play most of these games on 1080p high settings. Something like Rainbow Six, you might have to play down at like lower medium to get a smooth 60 frames per second. But other esports titles, like the other ones I mentioned, you can definitely rock out and play those games at decent settings and getting a smooth frame rate with just this processor here. And really, the reason we're going with this is, like I said, graphics card prices are so high right now. The only really affordable GPU that I've been able to find readily available is the RX 560 4GB card, but even those have had a price increase as well. This Gigabyte one over on Newegg is selling for $160 right now, which is about $30 to $35 above retail for what it should really be. It should be around $125. But yeah, it's selling for more than that right now, but it's still going to be able to give you good performance if you decide to grab one of these later on down the road. I've done some of my own testing with that card, the 4GB version here, and as you can see at 1080p high settings, it's able to power many of these games here over 60 FPS like Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, Dota 2, Battlefield and Prey, Sniper Elite. Those kind of games are coming down below 60 FPS on high settings, but if you just drop things down to medium, maybe even just dropping down like Shadows, you should be able to get a pretty nice performance bump on some of these other titles that maybe aren't running as well. But the RX 560 would be a good upgrade path maybe in a couple months down the road when you do have more money. But since we're focusing on the under $500 aspect, we're not putting a GPU in this system today. For the memory, obviously prices on that have been quite high as well, so I would go with a single stick of 8GB RAM. I was able to find the Crucial Ballistics for $85. Right now it's 2666 megahertz. Memory speed does matter with APUs, so if you can find something faster than that, like around 3000 megahertz, certainly go ahead and grab it up. But I honestly had a lot of trouble just finding RAM at this speed for a single DIMM. If you're looking to get 16 gigabytes, honestly, you're going to be spending about $200, which is double the cost of the processor, which is just another caveat of building a PC right now in 2018. So this is the one that I would go with. Now, if you're concerned about 16 gigabytes versus 8 gigabytes, TechSpot actually did some testing on this recently, and they were able to show a negligible difference going between the two. Looking at Battlefield 1, 720p on low settings, they had the 16 gigabytes with 2 gigabytes of reserved memory, because you can actually increase the amount of memory from your system memory allocated to the GPU that's built into the APU, and they showed a negligible difference with 2 gigabytes versus 1 gigabyte, and also a negligible change between 16 and 8 gigabytes. You can see here, it went from 90 to 91 FPS, actually got more frames, one more frame, which is within variance, honestly, at the same speed, but using half the amount of memory. At 1080p on low quality, they got, again, 55 with 16 gigabytes, 56 with 8 gigabytes. So it's actually getting one frame more in both of those testing scenarios. So really between 16 and 8 gigabytes, you shouldn't be really too worried about that, at least if you're just trying to get this budget build off the ground and running so you could play some games at least with your friends, and you could have a system that you can have a good upgrade path on, really. down the road when GPU and RAM prices stabilize, you can always add to it. You'll have room to add in more parts as you go along. So for our chassis, I wanted to do something budget-oriented. Obviously, you can go with a different case and pick what you like, but I was trying to find something under $50 that didn't really skimp on features and cable management and things like that, and I settled on the Cooler Master Masterbox Lite, which is very nice. Right now over on Amazon, it's $39. List price is $43, so it's a couple dollars less. Obviously, prices can fluctuate, so it might get up to $43 again. Some of the other color variants on this were like $50, but this one right now is $39, so pretty good budget. And this is a micro ATX case, and that will play in with our motherboard we choose later on. But this even has tempered glass, so this is going to be a pretty sexy looking case from Cooler Master, and they make quality products, so I would have no issues recommending this one right here. For the motherboard, obviously we're going with micro ATX to be able to fit in that form factor, and I found the ASRock B350M, which is only $65 right now. Regular list price is around $90, but you can get it today for $65 over on Amazon, where I'll have all of the links for the parts we'll be talking about here today. So that was the cheapest one I was able to find. If you want to spend a little bit more, or if you decide to get a full ATX motherboard, obviously you'd want to get an ATX case from there. But this is what I'd go with right now, because this is going to get you the best bang for the buck and under $80, which is like around what the other boards were. So 65 bucks, no issues with that. For the power supply, I wanted to get a 450 watt, which is going to be more than enough for the 65 watt TDP of the Ryzen APU, and it'll certainly be able to handle a efficient graphics card later on, even probably something higher end if you decided to go that route, because most of the GPUs around the mid-range right now from AMD or NVIDIA are pretty good as far as power efficiency is concerned. So I thought 450 watts would be absolutely fine, and I went with EVGA for $50 because it's my trusted brand of power supply. That's what I personally prefer to use in my systems, so that's why I'm recommending it here, as well as the price, which is pretty good. And this one is actually even fully modular, so you're not going to have to worry about cable management as much. You won't have to use extra cables if you don't need to, so that's always a very nice feature, especially at this price point. Nothing really to sneeze at there on this one. Now, for storage, I wanted to get a 240 gigabyte or 256 gigabyte, depending on the brand. And I settled with the SanDisk SSD Plus actually, $70 for a 240 gigabyte SSD, which is great. That's going to be enough for your OS, some programs, and maybe even a few of your most played games. So if you are planning to play Overwatch more than anything else by far, like maybe you just want to build this system to play Overwatch or whatever game, you can definitely be able to fit that on there, so you'll be able to boot into that game faster. But for your bulk storage and other games, some games can get pretty big, so you're going to want mechanical storage as well. So I picked out a Seagate 2 terabyte drive. I've actually had one of these in my system. It's been through 3 different PCs of mine that I've had since 2013, and it's still going strong. So yes, my personal brand that I buy now is HGST. But Seagate Barracuda drives are absolutely fine. 64 megabytes of cache, 7200 RPM speed, so great mechanical drive to be able to store all of your games and your other files. You can offload like your things like pictures and videos and things onto this drive, so it's not taking up space on your C drive with the SSD, where obviously storage is going to be a bit more limited, and you don't need ultra fast blazing speed to access stuff like pictures and torrented movies. So yeah, grab yourself a nice mechanical drive. So that's what I went with on that. Now, obviously, Windows 10 is going to be a big sticking point, because right now at this point, with all of the parts we have in here, we're looking at $469 for the system. And if you were having to go out and pay $80 to $100 for Windows 10, that's going to put a big dent in it. But I actually recently did a video on how you can get Windows 10 for $10 or less. You can go to eBay if you want. You could probably find them over there between $5 and $10. Or if you want to just get a consistent pricing, from what I found since the last time I did that video to now, the price has not changed at all. It's still $10 over there, or $10.55 on No Keys. I'll leave an affiliate link over to their site if you want to grab Windows 10 Pro for just $10.55. This is a legit website, legit keys from them, so you shouldn't have any concerns about it whatsoever. You just have to download the installer off the Microsoft website, and then you can go ahead and throw it into your system. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for our build guide here for under $500 in 2018, at least early 2018. I really do hope that by the end of the year we could start talking about some better systems with dedicated graphics and RAM prices coming down. That would be really nice to see, wouldn't it? So yeah, I hope this maybe helps some of you guys out that are still looking to do a system build, but you've been having trouble with getting enough money saved up for a graphics card and 16 gigabytes of RAM. Hopefully this showed you that you don't need to go out and really break the bank on those two parts to at least just get the system up and running. Because when I did my build back in 2013, I couldn't afford a graphics card right at that time anyway. I was planning to get a GTX 680 when I had built it, and I didn't have enough money for the graphics card, so I started buying parts like one at a time, and I was eventually able to get the system up and running and booted so I can have it ready to go. And I was running off of Intel integrated graphics at the time on my 3570K, and I was able to play stuff like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 at 720p and get 60 frames per second. So, the APUs have come a long way, and since back then, with integrated graphics and everything. These Ryzen 3 2200Gs are no slouch, and you'll be able to play a lot of modern titles at 60 FPS. So these things have just really impressed me ever since they came out. So I was excited to maybe put together a little parts list here for a system that you could actually do with this is kind of the focal point on that. And I didn't mention a dedicated cooler because this thing comes with a Wraith Stealth cooler, which is perfectly fine for cooling a 65 watt TDP part like the 2200G, so you really don't need to worry about going out and buying an extra cooler. And you can even overclock this thing. Even though it boosts up to 3.7, you'll probably be able to overclock it to maybe 3.9, even 4 gigahertz if you're lucky, and temperatures shouldn't be that bad, even on the stock cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. As always, all of the parts will be linked down in the description below over to Amazon with my affiliate link, so if you use those, I get a small little kickback from anything you buy over there. So be sure to hit those up if you decide to buy any of the other parts in this system. If there was anything you would change about it, a different part you would maybe use, or something you could recommend that maybe I didn't get, see, maybe cheaper RAM or a better case or anything like that, definitely drop it down in the comments below so people can kind of see it as time goes on, because these prices can change, as always, with anything, PC parts especially. Prices can fluctuate quite a bit, so if a little bit of time goes by and you happen to find something that's a better deal, drop it down in the comments. Help each other out, really. It's really what it's about in the PC Master Race Brotherhood, helping out your fellow gamers so everyone can get nice, smooth 60 frames. And until next time, may your frame rates be high and your temperatures low. I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.